Well, I have this page marked in my Pop It in the Toaster Oven cookbook because today I'm going to make chicken pie. And this is kind of an interesting recipe because I'm going to preheat my oven to 400 and then it bakes for 40 minutes. The whole chicken pot pie mixture bakes for 40 minutes. Then it's removed and then a phyllo dough crust is put on the top. And then it's baked again for 6 minutes or so, or until just the phyllo crust is nicely brown. Before I show you the ingredients that you'll need for this recipe, there are a couple shortcuts. The main shortcut is that I have in my recipes here said you need fresh carrot and fresh celery and onion. But if you have frozen vegetables on hand, you can use those instead and just throw them into the casserole. And of course the other thing is that if you have a food processor, you can put the fresh vegetables in there and in comparable quantities and chop them up very, very quickly and put them in the casserole dish. That way, that will save a lot of time. So the first thing I'm going to do is to preheat my toaster oven to 400 degrees, then I'm going to show you what ingredients you'll need for this recipe. So, what you'll need for this recipe, and there's quite a few ingredients, but they're going to make a beautiful chicken pot pie. You will need half a cup of, this is evaporated skim milk, and then a tablespoon of unbleached flour, and that will be mixed together for the filling. And then what I have over here is 4 skinless, boneless chicken thighs, and they've been cut into approximately 1-inch cubes. And then I also have 2 tablespoons of chopped onion there, and a half a cup of frozen peas right there. Also a half a cup of carrot, and that is finely chopped, and then a half a cup of celery, which is also finely chopped, and a cup of potatoes. In this case, it took like 1 russet potato to make a cup, and I've diced them into 1/2-inch pieces. And then for the seasoning, one of my favorite seasonings is powdered garlic, and that is a tablespoon of powdered garlic there. And then of course what I'll need is a 1-quart casserole dish, or 8x8x4, whatever you have to use, ovenware, oven safe. A whisk, a tablespoon, a big one, for mixing. This recipe also requires 8 sheets of phyllo dough. And then the phyllo, which is going to be put on after everything is baked, I have a brush, an oven-safe brush, and I think that's about a tablespoon of olive oil. I may need a little bit more, but that will come later. So the first thing I'm going to do is just whisk up the milk and the flour in the bowl. Okay, so there goes the milk into the bowl and the flour, and I'm just going to mix this around really well. All right, then all the rest of the ingredients just go in like this. The chicken, the onion, peas, celery, carrot, and the potatoes. Then I'm going to add the garlic, and then I'm going to also add salt and pepper to taste. And then I'm just going to add some freshly ground pepper here. Like that. Oh, that smells so good. And then I'm just going to put in about a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And mix it around really well. I'm covering the casserole with aluminum foil. Usually the domed lid doesn't fit, in a toaster oven. So this works as a lid, works really well, and actually can be reused. Oven's up to temperature, so this is going to go in. It's at 400, and I'm going to set the timer for 40 minutes. It was 45 minutes. I tested the vegetables and everything in this casserole for the chicken pot pie, and everything is cooked beautifully. So the next thing is going to be the phyllo dough. We will need 8 sheets of phyllo dough, and so okay, so here's the chicken pot pie filling, and it's all baked and beautiful, and now I'm going to top it with the phyllo dough. I have 8 sheets of phyllo dough here. It's laid out on a towel, and I have a damp paper towel over it. You really have to keep it a little bit damp so that you can work with it. And what I'm going to be doing is taking 1 sheet at a time, folding it in half. You have to be kind of delicate with this. Stuff is very, very thin. And then putting it on the top of the chicken pot pie filling and dabbing it with olive oil. So that's one layer. Then I'll go back again, pick up another sheet of phyllo dough. Put it back on the casserole dish. And more olive oil. And this, I'm going to continue doing this with all 8 sheets. And I want to make sure that these little edges here are flattened down, because if they stick up and I put it back in the oven at 400 for 6 minutes or until it's browned, I don't want those thin pieces sticking up so that they burn easily. And here comes another sheet of phyllo dough. I'm going to lay that vertically in there like that. Now, obviously, this is actually a little painstaking. I love phyllo. I love the crust it makes. But it's kind of a big deal. So if you want to do the chicken pot pie and just make a regular pie crust, or better yet, you know, if you want to save time, just go and purchase a commercial pie crust and throw it on after you've got the filling done. You know, I've done that too. But this is kind of fun, and it really makes a beautiful crust. And there's the last layer, the 8th sheet of phyllo dough, or phyllo. Some people say phyllo, some people say phyllo. Taking those edges down a little bit so they don't stick up, and ready to go into the oven. So the chicken pot pie filling with the phyllo dough topping is going to go in, and I'm going to set the timer for 6 minutes, and then I'm going to check it, make sure you don't want to burn it. It's a really good thing to monitor this, just because the dough is so very thin, and it would be easy to burn it. Okay, so I've taken the chicken pot pie out. You can see that the phyllo dough is really nice, toasted brown. It really only took 4 minutes, and I think it's because I had it sitting very close to the top elements so that it browned very nicely, but the phyllo dough itself is very crispy. So, true test, you can hear the dough is just so nice and crispy. Every layer. So you can see, oh, and it smells so good. You can see how crispy that phyllo dough is, And what a nice compliment it is to the sort of nice hearty filling. Oh boy, this looks so good. Nice crispy, crunchy crust, but light. I have to say that the difference between the nice, light, flaky crust and the very, very hearty chicken pot pie filling is a really nice blend. Commercial crust would be okay too. I think it depends on how much you want to get involved with this recipe and how much time you have. But give it a try. It's really good.